Alabama has 4 players participating in the Senior Bowl. I've been there this week, had a chance to talk to all 4 guys and ask them about Nick Saban and Coach DeBoer and the difference and the similarities. We're going to talk about that with a couple of those guys, James Burnip and CJ Dippre. Bama's Junior Day, number 1, happening this weekend. We're going to talk about that. Tuscaloosa, why that's important to Kalen DeBoer and his staff. So all that right here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, do all the things we asked you to do. But thank you for being here. Brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Let's get the show started, everybody. Roll Tide. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out. And let's get into the show right away. Had a chance to talk to the former Alabama players that are participating in the Senior Bowl. Jalen Milroe, obviously Alabama quarterback, and a guy that could potentially go in the first round. He's got some work to do. I mean, he needs to have, I would say, a good Senior Bowl. And, and he's an athletic guy. He just, turns some scouts' heads, right? James Burnip, our punter. We're going to hear from him in a second. CJ Dippre, who was a really good pass-catching tight end, talked to Tim Smith. And then Malachi Moore, met him last year. He's dealing with post-surgery, so he didn't play in the game. He dropped out, but he was supposed to play. My question to these guys was, I just want, and you guys on here talk about this a lot, I just wanted to know what the difference is between playing for Coach Nick Saban and Coach Kalen DeBoer. To these guys, not to us, but to these guys. And here's some of the answers that I got. We'll start with CJ Dippre.
Respect for him. I think Coach DeBoer had a lot of respect for him too. But coming in, it was just more of an old school scheme compared to a new school stuff. So, like the music and stuff, listening to practice, it was more like a new generation thing where Coach Saban was, old school and liked to do things only his way.
How about him talking about the music? Yeah, we had music. We had ice cream trucks. Some of you guys left the comment about that stuff. I think what people in the Alabama circles look at, though, is the 9-4 record, is not being able to handle the success of a season that could have turned out really good for these guys. They could have made the college football playoff. They were right there on the cusp. And then they went to Oklahoma. They lost to a really bad team, and they played horribly. So I think that's where people look at the ice cream trucks and the music and all of that stuff. I don't think that's a bad thing to do those new age. Hey, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time practicing, but you still got to take care of the things you got to take care of. And if you're at Alabama, you've got to take care of going out there and having success on the football field. And when you don't do that, I think that's when, you're going to get a lot of criticism. And when you lose to Oklahoma and you don't make the college football playoff, I still think they should have made it. They didn't. And then the way they played against Michigan in the bowl game, obviously not taking care of business. But here's James Burnip, good guy to talk to from Australia. And he was kind of getting into his thoughts on the same question.
Different culture. So just sort of having that two sort of old school and new school sort of style of coaching definitely helped me as a person, punter, player, teammate, all that sort of stuff. So before Saban was a little more, he was the leader sort of thing, and then DeBoer states a lot that he wants it to be more player-led with him on top of everything. So it was a different sort of system, but it was a good fun system, and I enjoyed my last year there.
All right, there's James Burnip. Good guys, by the way. All of these guys really enjoyed talking to him and getting an opportunity to spend a little time with them at the Senior Bowl. But Burnip's kind of like, hey, you know what? I like that it's a player-led formula that Coach DeBoer has, but the bottom line is this, is that you still have to go out there and take care of business. And that's not what happened with Alabama. And obviously that's why the team struggled, because when they had success, they weren't able to handle that. But, Coach DeBoer kind of talked about it. We did shows, pointing that out, that he understands that it was not the season that they needed to have. He knows that you're at the University of Alabama. You're not at Washington. You're not at Fresno State. You're not in, Division III football. At Alabama, you can't lose to teams that you're favorite to beat. And they did that 3 times last year. No one complains about losing in Knoxville against Tennessee. It's the other games that we didn't feel like they were prepared for. And from, just with Burnip saying, hey, it's a player-led system. Well, a lot of you guys have been critical of the leadership, the senior leadership for Alabama this past year. And I don't know that that's an indictment of it, but at the same time, it's not a good look when, it's up to the players to go out there. And I think that's a good system to have in this day and age of football where, the players kind of need to work on the things that they need to work on, and they need to lead each other to the things that they need to lead on to get to what they want to get to. And that's a championship. But obviously 9-4 wasn't good enough. And, there's a lot of reasons that we feel like that's the case. One thing that I want to tell you guys before we talk about Junior Day and some of the great players that are going to be in Tuscaloosa this weekend is that we're brought to you by DraftKings. Download that DraftKings app. Take advantage of it. No matter where you might be watching right now, DraftKings app, download it, put $5 in there, and you get, if it's your initial bet, you get 200 in bonus bets. So take advantage of that. There are 7 players that will get a championship ring, a championship Super Bowl ring if the Eagles win, that went to Alabama. So we're pulling for those guys. Super Bowl 59 is right around the corner, and it's the perfect time to get in on the action with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, they're giving all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. This is your shot to make every last play a moment to be remembered. Don't wait. Download the DraftKings app now and use our promo code Bama Tailgate. The crown is yours. Stay in on all the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at even bigger payouts. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen, making watching the game that much more exciting. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use our promo code Bama Tailgate, bet just $5 on any wager, and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. That's promo code Bama Tailgate only at DraftKings Sportsbook. This weekend, I should say, it's Bama's first Junior Day in Tuscaloosa, and it's been really great following all of this. So I got to throw a shout out to our buddy Andrew Bone. You see him in the open every day with Bama Online, 24/7 Sports. All these guys that cover Alabama recruiting, we keep an eye on all of that stuff. But obviously Bone's our guy. Junior Day is an opportunity to bring in players that are going to be part of that the 26 class, right? So you got a select group of players that don't fit that, but the majority of those guys are going to be players in the 26 class. Now, Bama, they've got one player in right now that is committed to that group, and that's Zion Gibson, the top 100 cornerback out of Gadsden City, Alabama. That's it. Now, that could change. Now, it's going to change because these guys are going to come to town, and Coach DeBoer and his staff better go out and get things done. Now, one thing that the biggest criticism I can tell you about a recruiting class that Alabama had that turned out to be, depending on what publication you look at, 2, 3, 4, one of the top 5 recruiting classes in the country last year, is that it didn't have many Bama players in it. As a matter of fact, they only signed 2 Bama players in the 25 class. So, and we knew when they came in that was going to be tough. I talked about it on the channel in the past that I worried about that. Other people told me, hey, that they don't have the relationships right now that they need to be able to nail down the players in this state. But give them credit. You know what? They got Ryan Williams. That was a must get, when Saban retired, and then, obviously going out there and trying to figure out, how to get those relationships going with some of those football coaches. And they've worked really hard on it. I feel like Coach DeBoer has done everything that you would want him to do to try to build that. Now, there's some names on the list of invitees that Alabama definitely wants to get, and it starts with Tank Jones. Anthony Jones, the 5-star that is at St. Paul's in Mobile. Jake Coker went to St. Paul's. A.J. McCarron went to St. Paul's. Mark Barron, I think, went to St. Paul's. You're talking about a lot of players that went to St. Paul's that went to Alabama as well and have had a ton of success. That needs to continue. This is a 5-star guy who is, I don't want to say can't miss, but a lot of people feel like that. And I put him at the top of the list of players that Alabama needs to knock down. Now, the other guy is 4-star running back E.J. Crowell out of Jackson High School. That's not far from where we're at right now in South Alabama. I mean, every time I drive to Tuscaloosa, I drive right by where the guy plays high school. He reclassified. He was the number 1 running back in the 27 class. Now he's, in the 26 class, but he's going to do the same thing that Ryan Williams did. And he's going to get to school early. He's been to Tuscaloosa a lot. Most of those visits, though, were with Nick Saban, Coach DeBoer, Robert Gillespie. Those guys are going to push hard on Crowell. He's a guy that you definitely want. Now, going around the state and talking about some of these other guys, Jabarius Garr is a edge out of Viger High School. Pritchard, he is someone that Alabama definitely wants to get. He is already committed to Alabama. He's going to be there. You want to keep that commitment. And, we talked about the 26 recruiting class. He's part of the 27 class. But listen, when they got Micah Dubose out of Viger High, that was a big win for them. When DeBoer took over, he was committed to Georgia. They thought he was going to go to LSU. You end up getting him as part of that offensive line class in Tuscaloosa. That was a big get for Alabama and a good one. Some other guys to keep an eye on is Jamarian Matthews, 4-star out of Sparkman High School, Harvest, Alabama. He's another edge guy. Can you imagine having Anthony Jones and Jamarian Matthews on your line? Those are the type of guys that are going to put pressure on the quarterback and win you games. I mean, when we have Ryan Anderson in here, who's from Daphne, who helped Alabama win championships, he's got a ton of rings. He put pressure on the quarterback. Bama got him, and he talks about, hey, I was thinking about going to Oklahoma. There were other schools after me. Saban came, and Mom's like, I got to go to Alabama. DeBoer's got to be able to win these battles as well. You got to get these guys. Now, Cedarian Morgan is from Benjamin Russell High School. He's going to be there. That's in Alexander City. He's a big wide receiver. Depending on what service you look at, he's one of the top wide receivers in the country, one of the top players in the country. And someone that I feel like Alabama would love to absolutely knock down. But the issue to me is, and we can talk about all the players that come from other states and and all that stuff. You got to knock down those players in your backyard, right? So whether it's Crowell, whether it's Tank, you want these guys. And they're going to be sought after by Georgia and Texas and Auburn and, like Crowell. Everybody's going to want him. Same thing with Tank. I mean, he's a 5-star guy. DeBoer and his staff, when these guys come to town, they definitely got to figure out how to bring in, the guys from the state of Alabama. Now, we'll talk about it's a really good group of players from outside of Alabama, and we'll get into those guys tomorrow, right? But this weekend's a big weekend, and it's a huge weekend when it comes to the relationships that these guys are going to have, getting them to commit to Alabama and then staying committed to Alabama. It's not just about NIL, it's about relationships and a path to have a good college career, and then a lot of these guys just want that to lead them to the NFL. So anyway, that's where we are right now. Thank you guys for hanging out. A couple other side notes. I know this is becoming kind of a long show. The Alabama softball team picked 10th in the preseason SEC coaches poll. Wow. That's one of those things you're looking at and you're like, man, pick 10th. I mean, this is, a program that has been for years one of the top programs in the country. But you can tell that the people that cover softball feel like Coach Murphy and this team are slipping. Now, they've been to the World Series, so, and I don't feel like they're that far behind the Texas and the Florida and the Oklahoma teams that are at the top right now of the SEC. SEC softball is so darn good. Tennessee's ahead of them. Texas A&M's ahead of them as well. LSU, Arkansas, Georgia, Missouri, then Alabama. Big drop-off from Alabama between Kentucky, Mississippi State, Auburn, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. So a lot of respect is missing right now when you talk about that Bama softball team. Really kind of crazy to think that in the SEC, all the success that Coach Murphy's had in softball, that group is picked 10th in a 16-team conference. So, but the games matter. And then finally, Catfish Courtside. You guys watch the show. I love what Chad does every day. What a win for Alabama at Mississippi State. I'm telling you, these are hard games, top 15 matchup. It went back and forth. Sears got benched, comes back. He has a big game. But how about Youngblood hitting some shots and leading the way? Bama is going to take on Georgia. The schedule gets not easy, but it gets a little bit lighter. And then all of a sudden, you play Auburn, and that bookends between Auburn and all these other ranked teams. But the Tide, not an easy win, but a win nonetheless. And check out Catfish Courtside where he's talking about it. That's on the channel right now, available for you guys. So thanks for hanging out. Again, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. We're also presented by, let me throw it up there, boom, New Life Art and newlifeart.com. Look, here's look at that guy right there, making a great catch. He's throwing a ball. He's running it right there. I love this print. I might have to move him around just so you guys can look at him every day. But this obviously is Alabama beating LSU in the 2011 BCS game. I was sitting at this game. Loved every minute of it. We should have beat them by 50, but I'll take 21 zip, right? Trent Richardson scored a touchdown to break it open. A.J. McCarron threw one over the Honey Badger for a big play. The defense was ferocious. All of these, though, when you use that promo code Bama Tailgate, you get, and it's a great deal, 20% off all the classics. So whether it's this print, if it's available, or other prints as they're available, the canvas prints, no matter how big or small, the calendars, the Nick Saban print, the Gene Stallings print. There's a Bear Bryant watercolor print that's amazing. Will look great in anybody's studio or their man cave or in their office or in their house. Take advantage of our promo code, Bama Tailgate, newlifeart.com. And then finally, we're presented by Pearl River Resort over there in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Talk about that all the time. Jake Coker and me, Mick Gillespie, will be there Monday and Tuesday at the different properties at Pearl River to talk about the big game. Yeah, the Super Bowl's coming up, so we're going to promote that and what you can do there at the Timeout Sports Lounge. You can slide over there and have that Vegas-style experience, an hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours and change from Birmingham and other places, but it's legal. It's fun. I'm not telling you to go bet your house, but I'm saying, look, if you want to get away and you don't want to fly all the way to Vegas, you get that same experience at Pearl River Resort. If you spend $50 at the sports book, you can go play Dancing Rabbit Golf Course for just $40, the Azaleas, the Oaks. So take advantage of it, man. You got concerts. You got table games and slots at Silver Star and Golden Moon Casino. You got the spa. Our friend Wes was talking about how he can't wait to go in there to the spa and get worked on. Take advantage of it yourself, guys. Thank you, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Roll Tide.
To Pearl River Resort.